All right. Thanks for joining us for Beyond the Stage. My name is Ruth Egerman. I'm the Director of Marketing at Livermore Valley Arts, and I'm with our host and Executive Director, Chris Carter. Say hi, Chris.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good, good. We just talked to Lizzie No, who's performing live at the Bankhead on November 17th, along with Sunny War. We also spoke with Sunny War. So you're actually getting a 2 interview episode out of Beyond the Stage this week. And they're performing also with Buffalo Nichols. So it's 3 artists on one bill, and it should be great fun. You can get your tickets at livermorearts.org or by calling the box office at 925-373-6800. Lizzie No to sort of Americana, I think
hmm
she would describe it. I think she used that word the most to describe her music was Americana.
Yeah, if you read about her, the folk comes up a lot. But yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. It's folkish, I guess. But yeah, folk Americana, kind of
Yeah.
country, a little bit of everything. Um,
And then Sunny War does roots music is how it's described for her. And
yeah,
then Buffalo Nichols is doing, he's a blues musician. So, I mean, 3 great artists, 3 very different perspectives on the music world.
hmm
Not so different. I mean, it's all very American music, and about their experience. So
yeah.
it'll be really cool night at the Bankhead, I think. So, Chris, you booked this one.
I did.
Do you have a favorite among the 3? Are you allowed to say that on air?
Uh, yeah, I don't know. I like all three of them a lot. I mean, it's one of those ones where as soon as you listen to each one of these artists, you kind of want to dive into their whole catalog, right? And I, the first one I started listening to was Lizzie No, um, and then Buffalo Nichols, and then Sunny War. I think I've listened to pretty much everything that they've put out there, um, and so they're all incredibly creative songwriters. One thing I liked about Lizzie, and I told her, is I really like the structure of her songs. Like that, it just feels very well thought out. And when she said, that's kind of how she thinks about her songs too. She puts a lot of time into that. Um, and then, Buffalo Nichols songs are just have a kind of a raw feeling to them, like
Mhm.
more, really uh, hard to explain unless you listen to it. And then Sunny War, same thing, kind of, rootsy and just, telling her story. And
Yeah.
they both have, or all three have somewhat different approaches to their music, but
But
um,
they're also, all 3 of them are telling their stories
yeah,
through
yeah,
music and their experience, experiencing life through their music in those
yeah. I
too.
forgot to ask. I was going to ask Lizzie about her songs because a lot of them seem very personal, and I
Yeah.
didn't know if those were like, true stories or things that she kind of invented in her mind, or kind of, or changed the names to protect the innocent kind of stuff. But uh, I like that kind of songwriting where it feels personal, and I'm trying to um, hear what they're feeling and kind
Right.
of going through in the song.
And how you might even relate to it
Yeah.
to some respect. Yeah, her music, I brought up the song Sundown,
hmm
she wrote, and I was kind of blown away by it because it starts off in this sort of cheerful way, and it felt like she described it as a conversation between her and her grandmother,
hmm
right? And that's exactly what the song feels like.
Yeah.
It feels like that, and it's really special. Special that way. You get that real sense of it.
Yeah. I think they're great songwriters. And for me personally, I love great songwriting. And, when you're talking about a songwriter, you don't need a lot of musical elements. It doesn't need to be overproduced or anything like that. It's sometimes it comes across as, really simple, but the way it's constructed and crafted, it takes a lot of uh, effort and thought, and it connects with you on a deeper level at times.
Mhm.
And so for me personally, I think that's just my favorite style of music. I would just say
Yeah.
a songwriter. kind of music with a real emphasis on the songwriting piece.
Yeah, yeah. I think I gravitate towards that kind of music as well.
Yeah.
The storytelling, the songwriting, you know, the lyrics. I'm a lyrics person.
Yeah.
So
And I was saying, it's like when you're talking to somebody about, oh, have you seen this TV show yet or something? And you just get excited about it. And
yeah,
I feel that way a lot about different artists. And when I hear something new or fun, um, or something that I really enjoy, I want to share it with people. And the fact that we can bring it here to Livermore to our stage is even better. It's such a cool thing to have this ability to do that. And so I hope people come. I think it's going to be a really cool show.
all of them. They're really like sort of at that place where hear them now so you can say, I was listening to them way back when.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, exactly.
So everybody enjoy this next couple of interviews that we have with both Lizzie No and Sunny War. I think you'll get a lot out of them. And then, of course, you'll want to join us at the theater on November 17th.
Hi.
How's it going, everyone?
Great. How are you?
Good. It's tea time.
I like your mug.
Nice mug.
Thank you. I like it for Zoom calls because it's outward facing.
My name's Ruth Eggerman. I'm the director
Ruth.
of marketing here.
And I'm Chris. I'm the executive director.
Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, it's exciting for us. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Brooklyn.
From Brooklyn. Ooh,
Yeah.
Okay.
I just got home from the IBMAs in Raleigh.
What does IBMA stand for?
Oh, the International Bluegrass Music Association and Awards. I don't actually know if it stands for association or awards, but it was like the conference, festival, and awards.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, really fun week.
Did you get to
consider your
perform?
music?
So I was just there as a podcaster with my co-host Cindy House. We do the Basic Folk podcast. And so we were there doing like the podcasting panel with Bluegrass Situation. And then I sang backup for my friend's new string band, Kaya Cater, Trey Wellington, Jake Blount, and Nelson Williams formed this new string band called New Dangerfield. And it was like their big debut. So I sang backup for them.
Last year I started listening to some of your music. It's really good.
Thank you.
I was talking to Ruth, and we run a performing arts center, so we have a lot of performers coming through all the time.
Mhm.
And I was thinking about your songs and your songwriting, and I was trying to explain to Ruth, like, for me, it's like very well structured. I don't know if that's the right word,
Thank you.
but it seems like every part of the songs are just the right amount of time, and then it leads you into the next part, and
Thank you so much.
really well written, and just the structure of your songs is so nicely moves throughout the song, and that's something I really enjoyed about it.
Thank you. That's a really thoughtful compliment. I spend a lot of time on that part of it.
Really, you do?
Yeah. I really think about like not only just like how can I make this song the best version of itself? Because there's so many different versions of a song. There's like the platonic version that exists only in your imagination. And then there's like the demo version, there's the studio version, there's the live version. Like there's versions where maybe you jam at the end. There's versions where you keep it short. Like there's so many different ways to present the same material.
Yeah.
So I think about like, how do I want it to sound on the record? And then like, how am I going to sequence it with the other songs such that it's like telling a story? And like, not every song needs to be like your 6-minute meditative journey. Like some songs should be 2 minutes. Some songs should be longer. Some should have a bridge, like that stuff that I find super fun.
How would you classify your music, or what kind of style do you say you're in? I know you're I was reading a lot about like folk, but I heard folk, but I heard some other things too. And so how would you describe your style?
I would describe it as somewhere between Americana and indie. And the good thing about both of those genres is that they are just like umbrella terms for a lot of other like types of American music genres. Like I definitely am inspired by folk and the blues, bluegrass, rock, country, alternative rock, all of those. I feel like I often write folk songs and then arrange them as rock songs. Or I'll write like a soul song and then sing it as a country song. So like all of those end up coming together in the music.
Do you find like when you, because I write music a little bit myself, but not professionally at any level, but when you hear it in your head, does it sound different when it gets played? I mean, when it comes out at the end, so like what you think it's supposed to be, it becomes something different as the process evolves.
Yeah, I think that as I've gotten better as a producer, I'm getting closer. I'm like shortening the distance between what I hear in my head and what you hear as a listener at the end of like when the recording's finished. But sometimes it's actually really good and fun when a song surprises you, as it changes in the arrangement. Like I did this West Coast tour earlier this year with John Calvin Abney and Nelson Williams, and like the live arrangements completely surprised me. Like some of the songs that I had released on Vanity, like for example, Loyalty, that's like a really contained soul song kind of. And then Nelson had this like really creative bass part that made it like brought like a Latin rhythm. So like you're tapping your foot in a way that like you might not at the recording. So sometimes it's just fun when like on the road or in the studio, the musicians that you hire bring like a completely different idea than you ever imagined.
Yeah, and they're hearing something else, and now you get to hear both of those things.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. What are your primary instruments? Do you play the guitar mostly?
I think my primary instrument is my voice, and then I split time between, like I think in my live set it's 2/3 guitar, 1/3 harp maybe. And when I come out to the West Coast, I am going to be bringing the amazing Will Green playing electric guitar. He's part of this unbelievable like progressive jazz pop avant-garde band called Tradishi Bachi. And so he has influences from everything from like ragtime to jazz to country to rock. So as a duo, we get to like try out a little bit of all of the styles that I'm interested in.
Well, that's exciting.
Which did you start first, the guitar or the harp? And
the harp.
The harp is really amazing because it's not a huge harp. It's like
it's a mini harp. Yeah.
It's a mini harp. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's designed for music therapy, which is not what I do, but it also works as a great gigging harp. I started out on violin when I was 3. And then by the age of 10, I was completely burnt out on violin. So my parents said I could choose another string instrument. And so I started playing harp in 5th grade. And then, yeah, most of my early songwriting was all done on harp until I won the American Songwriter Lyrics Contest in 2016. And they sent me a Gibson SJ100, like the nicest acoustic guitar you could possibly imagine. And I didn't even play guitar. And so I was like, okay, I guess that means it's time for me to like learn how to play guitar and like start writing some like singer-songwriter guitar songs. And that's basically when, the Lizzie No project started.
Yeah. Well, guitar's only got 6 strings, right? So it's way easier, right?
I find guitar so hard. I wish more people would like speak out about how hard it is to play the guitar. Like the harp, you look at it and you can see what you're going to play.
Yeah.
And on the guitar, I find it so mysterious. Like I still very much consider myself a beginner guitarist. Like I'm an okay rhythm guitarist. I can get the gig in my band.
You could. Okay.
Yeah.
Because the rhythm's not too hard. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's because I am the one that knows the rhythm of the Lizzie No songs the best.
Right?
It's because I'm the primary source material.
Did you come from like a musical family? You said you started at 3.
My parents really emphasized that for both me and my sister. I sang in choir. I think I've been singing the longest. That's why I say my voice is my primary instrument. My dad's whole family is very musical, coming from the Baptist church. So we sang in church. We sang in the Princeton Girl Choir. We did Suzuki. Like it was all about music for our after school activities, which I thank my parents for all the time.
So you got the award, the Songwriter Award in
2016.
Was that when you started songwriting, or did you start songwriting before that?
So I started writing songs, like I would write parody songs starting in elementary school. So like I've been truly writing songs forever, but like mostly as a joke. And then in high school and college, I started taking it more seriously and playing with my friend. You know, I formed a couple of different bands with friends. My first band was a girl band in high school. We did like Dixie Chicks covers, Jenny Owen Young's, you know, Tracy Chapman, like kind of your Lilith Fair country vibes. And then in college, I had this really fun, like folky band with my housemates. And after I graduated, I was like, am I actually going to try to make a living out of this? And a college buddy of mine formed a folk duo called Devil in the Deep Blue Sea around 2014. And we toured out of DC. And so that's where I kind of like cut my teeth as far as playing live and playing my own songs out. And I went solo in 2016 because I was like, I have a song to sing that's only mine. There's something that I got to do that's like just Lizzie. And that's when I started playing as Lizzie now.
That's awesome.
So was that the song that you won the award with?
That was the song that I was already playing in my duet. It was called Outlaws, and I still play it at shows sometimes. But I just kind of got the urge. I like very vividly remember like sitting in my basement apartment in DC. I was like 22, 23, and like writing that song and like feeling like it had a future and feeling like that song was like going to be something maybe. And like later seeing the ad for the songwriter contest, I was like, why the hell not? Even though I like wasn't releasing songs under my own name. And the prize was a guitar, which I didn't know how to play. It was very much like taking a leap of faith, just hoping that like someone would even like read my lyrics and connect with them.
When you come out here, you're going to bring both your guitar and your harp?
Yes.
Awesome. Yay.
Yes, I will. We pray to the airlines that they will allow me. And sometimes Gibson is nice enough, because I play a lot of Gibsons, to like loan me road guitars so I don't have to fly with two instruments, because the flight attendants really do give you a mean look when you do that.
Carry-ons.
Mm-hmm.
You're allowed to carry-ons, right? But
you
can't
are,
put it under
but
your-
not if
chair.
they don't like you. Not if they look at you and say, I don't think so.
You could just play a song for them, maybe.
Yes.
Get them and let them understand.
Yeah, busy airline employees love that. They love when you sort of busk at their workplace, holding up the line. That's their favorite.
Okay.
Says with a teeny bit of sarcasm.
Well, you said you started off with parodies. Is there? Do you remember any of them? Can you want to share one with us?
Yes, please.
I actually don't really remember. Well, okay, this is horrifying, and I've only spoken about it one time, and so you can't judge the quality of my work based on this. But when I was in 5th grade, we did a Civil War reenactment. A lot of this I don't think would fly in today's schools, but because I was, pretty popular in my class, I was chosen as, you guessed it, General Robert E. Lee. And so it was my job to sort of like do team building with my team. And so I wrote like a theme song to the tune of Gloria Gaynor's "I Will Survive." And obviously like none of it is repeatable, but like as a 5th grade, I was like, this will just be fun. Like, it's like, I want my team to win. And I had a sense of the irony. I did have a sense of the irony. So it was like a sort of sarcastic song about states' rights. I was a smartass, and then I went to a lot of therapy to like unpack that particular experience. Like, who were the educators involved who allowed that to happen? I don't know.
That's fascinating. So yeah, maybe one day do a little.
Absolutely not.
No. Okay.
Absolutely not.
Never mind.
Well, since you brought up civil rights, I was just listening to your song "Sundown."
Oh, great. Thank you.
Which was beautiful. And it is one of those interestingly structured songs that starts off in this somewhat cheerful way.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just kind of curious about the story about that, and if you wanted to share it. And I know it has to do with Black Lives Matter, but
sure.
that.
Yeah, I mean that's a good song to bring up in terms of like the distance that can open up between like where you think a song is going to turn out and then where it actually turns out. I wrote that song after a conversation with my grandmother, who grew up in rural North Carolina, sharecropping, moved to Brooklyn, raised a family there, got her master's degree, had a really successful career. And then after my pop died, she moved back to North Carolina. And so this was a conversation that we had about like how New York has and hasn't changed, and how the South has and hasn't changed. Now, like having experienced both, and like how my experiences as a young adult in Brooklyn were similar to hers and different from hers, and realizing that there are a lot of battles right now that we're fighting that like we shouldn't have to be fighting because our grandmothers already fought them, you know. Like the right to exist in public space as a Black person, the right to like stay in your home and not be gentrified out of your own neighborhood, which of course like is just an echo of what Indigenous communities go through. So that was like, it was like this feeling of like historical repeating, and like just wishing that we could like move on to a new fight. Like, do we even deserve to be here? Shouldn't still be the question in this contemporary America, but unfortunately it is. And that's, to me, that's what's at the root of a lot of the public executions of Black people, and particularly Black men, that we've seen in the past, 10 and 15 years, that has inspired the Black Lives Matter movement, and other movements for freedom and justice. It's like, it's not just random chance that certain groups are killed on the street with no recourse, with no justice. It's that the power structure in America is trying to remind us of who deserves to be a citizen, which is to say, who deserves to occupy public space, public office, who deserves to vote, who deserves to, shop in the stores of their choice, vacation where they want to, hike where they want to. It's all about who deserves to take up space. So that's really what Sundown is about, because it's not just about like who you are. It's like who you get to be in public space is defined by our race still in America.
Was it hard to write that song?
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was hard as hell.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that song's really special to me, I think. And that was back when Bartees Strange was in my band, and he just like poured so much of himself into that guitar part. And he and I have so much in common as far as like, I feel like how we see being Black artists in America. So I was really grateful to be working with him at that time.
Oh, that's really remarkable. Can you talk a little bit more about your writing process? I'm always fascinated by the creative mind, and everybody seems to have a different way of doing this. And what's your process? Do you write down notes all the time? Do you have a little recording device? And I mean, do you start with the lyrics? Do you start with an idea, or do you have the music? Like, what's your process? How do you
all of the above? Usually what will happen is that I will realize that there's a melody stuck in my head, and I'll search my mental files for where I heard it. And if it's a song I know, then it's a song I know. But often it's something that my subconscious is raising up to the surface for me to pay attention to. And so I'll try to get a sense of it in my mind, and then I'll sing it into my voice notes in my iPhone. Sometimes lyrics will come, and if they do, I'll put them in my notes app, or I'll write them down in my journal if I have a piece of, if I actually have pen and paper next to me. And I will just like single-mindedly tunnel vision focus on that little scrap of an idea until I hit a wall, and then I put it down. And I might come back to it. Like often, like if I'm out and about, I get a lot of ideas while I'm driving or walking, or doing some whatever distracting third thing, taking a shower, washing the dishes, all that stuff. Later, I'll like revisit the idea when I have an instrument next to me and see if any musical ideas come. And so sometimes that'll be how I'll get like a good chunk of the song done, or at least the initial idea. And I'll record that. And And then usually I'll just let it go for a bit. And if it keeps getting stuck in my head and lyrics keep coming, then I'll know like it's time to really sit down and shed and like figure it out. But it feels like that. I'm not a sculptor, but it feels like how some sculptors describe finding the person or the figure in the marble. Like you just have you have this big block, but somewhere in your mind's eye, you know that there is, you know, David in there. That's the hope.
Yeah. Somebody told me once it's like a path, and you're you're taking a turn here, and okay, now that's a dead end, so I'm going to go this way, and then eventually you get to the goal at the end.
Yeah, sometimes you're tiptoeing on the path. Sometimes you have to bring a machete, and all songs are different. Like there are songs that I've really had to fight for, and there are others that just kind of dropped into my lap.
Yeah. Is it harder? Does the music come easier or the lyrics?
It depends on the song. There are songs like, for example, Deep Well Song off of my last album, Vanity. That started out as the lyrics because I wanted, like, the rhyme scheme is very particular, and that's a very formally like straightforward song. So I saw it on the page, and I tried out a couple of different keys and melodies. Like that's a template that probably could have fit over a number of different musical schemes. So on that one, it was definitely like I wrote a poem and out it came, and then later I had to kind of figure out where it fit musically. And then there are other songs where like my song Monuments off of my first album, like I in a dream heard the violin melody like da 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 da, and I woke up and had to like write it down and see what came next. So you just never know where it's going to come from. Did that answer your question?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
You did. It sounds like you're allowing yourself to be open to all these different ideas at different times.
And also, just like anyone, like I listen to a ton of music and I go to a lot of shows, and often that will be the inspiration. Like, oh, I see what they're doing with that. With like, I love what they're doing with steel drum here. Like, let me see if there's anything like that sound that I could get into a song. Or I loved this rhyme, and like, I'm not stealing people's lyrics, but just like if I see someone making a move that I think is cool, I'll try to see what of that can I translate into my own work.
And then what influences do you have musically? Like who's influenced you the most?
That I have a new album coming out January 19th on 30 Tigers and my own label, Miss Freedomland. And I've been thinking a lot about the influences on this new record because it's a mix of like Americana, Uncle Tupelo, Jason Isbell, Amy Mann, like songwriters, and then like Minnie Riperton and Donny Hathaway, and a little bit of gospel too. So it's kind of all over the place. And the guys that play in my band are also extremely musical people with like such a broad range of influences. Like my bass player is John Batiste's former bass player, so he has this sense of like jazz and pop that really brings a lot to the band. So our influences are kind of all over the place.
In your one thing I saw, you were at SF Jazz this summer.
That was so much fun.
You're going to Stanford Live, I think, pretty soon. I mean, what's this like for you to kind of move on to these stages here? It's got to be pretty exciting.
It's crazy because like I love like touring. I love touring no matter where I go, but there's something really special about the California tours because I went to Stanford, and I definitely, like when I was an undergrad, did not think that I was going to be like a full-time musician. Like that was so far outside of what I thought like a real job could be for me. But I went to SF Jazz like when it opened and saw Vijay Iyer, and I was like blown away by his playing and also by the venue and the thought of like I could, like, a person could do this with their life. And like I went to Hardly Strictly Bluegrass when I was in college. You know, I saw the Bing concert hall get built, and so this was like a formative time when I was like trying to figure out who I was and if there was a place for me in folk and Americana music. And now to be back bringing my original music, like I'm almost tearing up that like performing arts centers like you guys would like invite me to play my original music. Yeah, and of course the fans in California are amazing and so friendly.
Well, it's good music. It's worthy of performing arts centers. So we're
Thank you.
looking forward to it. In this particular show with us, you're playing with you have some other artists that are going to be with you, and it's Buffalo Nichols and Sunny War. Have you worked with them before? Are you familiar with them?
Oh yeah, Sunny and Carl are some of my favorite musicians working right now, period. I have admired their work for forever. And actually a funny story is like back in 2019 or no, 2018, we were all booked at Americana Fest, and it was my first year going, or first or second year going, I don't remember. But I noticed that they're just like there was a diverse lineup at the festival, but as far as like the cool hip after parties, I was like, it's all white people playing these after parties, let's do our own. So Carl with his old band Nickel and Rose, he's now known as the Great Buffalo Nichols, Sunny War, Trey Burt, and I did our own Americana Fest after party. And like I had met a couple of them before, but like it was such a special memory, and I felt like we kind of had this bond from early on, and it's been so amazing to see what Sunny and what Carl have done with their music, because I feel like they are kind of defining what contemporary blues and Americana are becoming. And I sort of can't believe I'm even on the same bill with them. They're like such cool artists.
They are. Well, I think it's going to be incredible. And we're going to try and get as many people out as possible to share this music with them. One thing I like to ask a lot of people, or especially musical artists, is what are you listening to right now? Like what's the most recent song you had on your
on my Spotify?
Spotify, there you go. I keep wanting to say like CD player, but
okay, well, I was running, so it was my workout playlist, so I had You Drive Me Crazy by Britney Spears. But I've been listening to a lot of Miko Marks, Michaela Ann. I love Aaron Ray's new live album. I listen to a lot of S.G. Goodman, Ben Delacour, like a lot of the Americana songwriter folks. And I'm really excited about the next album from Kaya Cater. She's a good friend of mine. And I just saw her play at IBMA, and she's an unbelievable banjo player and songwriter.
Thank you. Now you've given us a lot more homework to do.
Right.
Appreciate that.
I could make music recommendations all day long. It is my number one favorite pet topic.
That's awesome. When you have your own podcast too, right?
The Basic Folk podcast. Yes, it is such a fun side hustle that has become like my huge passion. We broadcast on the Bluegrass Situation podcast network, and the tagline is honest conversations with folk musicians, which to me is vague enough that we get to do whatever we want. We've recently had like Ben Harper and the Milk Carton Kids on. We do collaborations with the Why We Write podcast on Folk Alley called Folk Debate Club, where we debate like authenticity versus performance, or our most recent one was your career versus your soul. So we love to dig into like the work behind the music, the spirituality behind the music, like what makes musicians tick.
Yeah.
And Cindy Howes is like a super talented podcaster, and she taught me everything I know. So we co-host.
Wow. Now I'm going to have to check that out too. You've given me one more thing to listen to.
I love to give homework.
I appreciate that.
Let's get into it.
I like doing homework. Well, last thing we want to do, I always do this, a little game with everybody. I hope you're okay with that.
Yes.
Just a way to get to know you better. It's super easy. We call it either or. And so I'm going to give you two options and you just pick one.
Great.
So if I were to say, starts out easy, maybe it'll stay easy. I don't know.
Okay, we'll see.
If I were to say sunrise or sunset, what would you say?
Sunset.
Okay. What about spring or fall?
Spring.
You're the first person to say spring. Mountains or coast?
Coast.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
This is way too fast. Okay.
I'm
You're not thinking
decisive.
hard enough.
This is a woman who knows what she likes
Like,
and doesn't
uh,
think about it.
dog, dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Dogs. But you're drinking out of a tiger.
I am drinking out of a tiger mug, but I have the most, I don't actually know if this was sent over in my press kit, but I have the world's most perfect puppy.
You
It's
do.
something that's very important to me.
We did not read about that.
Yeah, I did not get that. No.
It's a little known fact.
The most perfect puppy.
Yep. He's the best puppy ever made.
What's his name?
Berlin.
Berlin. I like that. Okay.
Mhm.
City or country?
City.
City. Driving or flying?
Driving.
Bob Dylan or the Beatles?
Bob Dylan.
Major key or minor key?
Major.
Oh, see, now you're one of the first to say major.
Mm-hmm.
So
Why major?
There's more chances for surprise. Like I like to come in, if I'm going to do something dark and challenging, I like to come in with a big smile to do it. And that's what the major key provides.
It does. It makes you
Mhm.
feel good. And then you can surprise people.
Mhm.
Rock and roll or country?
That's one of the hardest questions that's ever been asked because they are the same to me.
Mm-hmm.
I can't distinguish between
You
them.
can't? Okay.
I cannot. If I had to choose between rock and roll and country, I would say the blues.
Well, that was my next one, was going to be jazz or blues.
Blues.
Blues. All right. Well, I think I know the answer to this one. Guitar
Okay.
or harp? Or maybe not.
These are getting so hard.
Sorry. I told you it might get tough.
Harp.
Harp. All right.
oh, she says trepidatiously. So
Oh my gosh, I love them both.
I was going to ask you, you have a Gibson guitar. I was going to
Mhm.
ask you Martin or Taylor, but I might say Martin or Taylor or Gibson,
I'm going to choose Gibson.
right? That's what I
Mhm.
figured. Last one, this is easy. Livermore, California on November 17th,
Mhm.
which is the night you're going to be performing in Livermore,
Okay.
or anywhere else in the world on that night.
Guys, Livermore, California.
Yes.
We're going
Thank
to have
you.
so much fun.
I'm really looking forward to it.
yeah.
You're like, Lizzie, you're like one of the artists when a fun part of our job is we get to preview a lot of artists, and we go to these conferences and we
Oh, fun.
go to showcases, and I'm always learning about different performers that I might not have known about before. And sometimes I hear about somebody and I look them up. But I always look them up anytime.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure I look them up. And sometimes I look them up and then I can't stop listening to them. And you were one of the ones where I just could not stop listening to you when I first
Well,
discovered.
thank you so much.
Thank you for writing such good music.
Thank you.
So many of us have this concert circled on our calendars.
Yeah.
Like gotta be there for this one. It'll be fabulous. And so thank you very much. And I'm looking
Thank
forward
you.
to the eclectic group of up and coming voices in America. So be really
Yeah.
fun.
Sunny War and Buffalo Nichols are like, they both have just the most amazing albums out right now. So I
Yeah.
can't wait to play with them.
Yeah, her new album's great.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's so good.
You guys
All
are gonna
right.
have fun in the green room, huh?
I think so.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, you're off the hook.
Thank you so much.
Yep. And
You.
we'll see you soon.
See you soon. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Sunny. Yeah, I'm Chris. And where are you calling us from? Are you in LA? Are you Nashville now?
I'm in Chattanooga.
You're in Chattanooga. Neither of the places I mentioned, but you're in Tennessee.
Yeah, yeah.
That's well, we're really looking forward to having you come out on November 17th. I was just talking to Ruth. We were listening to your new album. You've gotten quite a bit of praise for it. And I've heard No Reason on the radio several times now too, which is pretty cool. So this will be your first time coming to the Bankhead. And I guess we wanted to start a little bit and just ask you about like how do you describe your sound? And I know for me, like listening to the record, um, I felt like your music was really mesmerizing. I don't know if that's the right word. It's hard to not. It's like hard to not get into if you know what I mean. Um,
Oh, thanks.
yeah, I felt like I really needed to listen to every part. You know, sometimes you listen to music and you're kind of putting it on the background while you're doing something, but with this anarchist gospel album, I had to like put everything down and really listen to it. And um, just how would you describe the sound that you have coming out of that?
Um, I I think I would just describe it as like a finger style guitarist that likes everything. That's kind of like wanting to do a little bit of everything without committing to anything. Cause or I guess kind of like folky and bluesy, but
Yeah,
also just open to other stuff too.
yeah, I could hear a lot of styles in there. Did Ruth was telling me what her favorite song was on the album? Can what was it, Ruth?
Oh, the one that really struck me was Whole. It
Oh,
just the way the music started. I was just like, oh, I like this is the beat, this is the rhythm, all of that I really liked and just came through. Now I had it on while I was working. So it's one of those things where it's like, oh, that grabbed my attention, while I was designing some poster image or something like that. And so it's a good album and it's easy to listen to. But I have also read a number of articles and about you, and it sounded, and especially with maybe this album, like you're getting into more of the poetry side of it first, like you're. And I know that Chris asked a bunch of questions about your process, but to me, the lyrics have always been, until recently, maybe in the last couple of years, the lyrics have always been what's gotten to me to listen to a song. Um, but now you're moving into that direction as well. Is that a correct assessment?
yeah, cause I think before I only cared about the guitar, so a lot of the lyrics were like not, I don't know, like that was always like the last thing I thought about was like how can I fit words into it instead of like what is the song saying, I guess. And now I try to write more without a guitar because I used to try to write at the same time while playing, but I think I just get distracted. So I'm like actually like just writing poems now more and
What's
try to force writing, I guess.
so are you always writing or are you just kind of constantly thinking about I could write about this is something I should write about or do you what's your process there as Ruth is saying like creatively um how do you come up with some of these ideas
Mostly
and
just use my notes app on my phone.
yeah
And I kind of like might put a couple lines in randomly every other day, unless something really like sometimes I really have like if I have a verse and I already know what I want it to sound like musically, like sometimes I can do a whole song, but sometimes I'll just like a certain phrase will sound interesting and then I'll just put it in my phone and then I might I kind of go through all of the stuff like every couple weeks, like see what's in there and see if I want to like keep working on any of them. Then a lot of times I read everything in there and I don't like any of it, so I
yeah
just throw it away. But
oh um
Do you have just like one ongoing long list of phrases and different things like that, words you might have heard that you're constantly adding to, or do you actually like, I don't like any of these, I'm throwing them all away.
well, there's like 100 and something different notes in here right now, and some of them are like a whole song, except there's no music, but it has like all the verses done and all the like the choruses and stuff, and then some of it is like one thing that would be really cool, so I would have to build around it. Like
then
some of it, I think I'm just like trying to get something out, but then like later, I'm like, I don't want. This is just a mean song, and I was just mad about something, so I don't
Well,
want to use. I don't want to use that.
Well,
But
isn't that what they tell you? Like, if you want to say something to somebody, write it down first before you say it, or what's the email? Delete the email before you send it, just so you get it out.
yeah, I
So
think
maybe you just have
that's.
to do that.
I'm doing that a lot.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no.
Well, my favorite song on it is "New Day." By the way, I've listened to that. I keep listening to that one over and over again. I really like that song. I think "No Reason" is the one that's really uh, getting a lot of good airplay. Um, but so you're a guitarist, right? Guitar is your primary instrument.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
and you're a finger picking style. That's where did you learn that?
I learned it because my stepdad's friend was played banjo, and he knew how to play guitar, but I always saw him playing banjo, and I think
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it sounded cool. And I tried to, like, when I was first learning how to play, I only had him and then my uncle who played bass, who plays upright bass. Like, those are the only people I actually saw playing a stringed instrument. So I think I was just like, just kind of copying what they were doing, trying to get a sound out of the guitar. I heard a lot of I heard a lot of finger style music, so to me it sounded correct. And
Yeah.
then I learned Blackbird when I was like 11 or something, and I thought that sounded better than anything I ever played also, so I just thought this just sounds better.
Well, there's
Do you play other instruments?
I play a
Sorry.
banjo.
You play banjo?
Yeah.
Will you be playing banjo on our stage at all?
No.
No,
I'm
just
not
guitar.
ready. I'm not ready for that. I
Not for
might
live?
maybe one day. Because I am writing with the banjo now a lot.
Yeah, it's an underrated instrument. Um, and the finger style, I mean, I think you're right. Like Blackbird, that's probably one of the first songs I ever learned how to play on the guitar. There's something about playing that style where you can it's like you're a whole band by yourself, right? You're
Yeah.
playing the bass notes and the melody all at once, and it just sounds so great. That's my favorite thing about the guitar is you can just do it by yourself and you can do a whole song, and um, you don't necessarily need a band to play with you. Do you have like any guitar influences besides your family? Anybody you listened to growing up that you were like really excited about or just kind of wanted to mimic?
I tried to be like Chet Atkins a lot when I was in high school, and then I
He's
like
fast. Could you play it? Can you play that fast?
I can play pretty fast,
Yeah.
not really like in a jazz way though,
Yeah.
but I think just like I got a lot just from him doing like lead and doing the bass lines. I was like trying to listen to it. Like I really like Mississippi John Hurt,
Mm-hmm.
and just I was like obsessed with pretty much anybody that was doing a bass line and a lead part, and I was always trying to like figure out how many parts he could do. And I guess like I think Elizabeth Cotton and Mississippi John Hurt and Chet Atkins were like my favorite.
Yeah. I recently found a couple of records with Chet Atkins and Les Paul playing together, which is a lot of
Oh
fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
If you
seen the
ever,
video. They
yeah.
have it on YouTube.
Yeah, those guys are flying. That's fun. So what can we expect? So the show that you're doing in November, you're playing with well, you're not playing with them, but it's you with Buffalo Nichols with Lizzie
Okay.
now. What's the show gonna be like?
It's gonna be like I don't know, like me and the guitar.
You got your set list ready to go?
Not yet,
Not yet. Okay.
but I'll probably play like at least 4 songs from the new record, and then a lot of stuff from previous albums and
Yeah.
some kind of interesting covers. Like I'm doing like a Beatles cover. Like I'm doing some weird covers too every once in a while.
Do you have a favorite song of yours and a favorite song that you like to cover?
My favorite song to cover is Freight Train, Elizabeth Cotton. And then my favorite song of mine is Hole right now, I think.
Ah, yeah,
That's
it's
Ruth's
a good
favorite
one.
song.
Yeah,
That's mine too.
yeah, I
I have
like
to
the
tell you,
lyric.
and I know you're a bit on the festival circuit right now. Are you, because you're going to be at Hardly Strictly Bluegrass, right? Is that you that's
Hmm.
going to be there? Yeah. Yeah, you were recently at the Winnipeg Festival, and I'm not sure what it's called. Is that, I'm not sure, like it's at the Winnipeg Folk Festival in Canada,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah. My brother has been going to, he lives in Iowa, and he's been going to that for years, although he took a little bit of time off when he had kids and is returning. And he tells me this story. I talked to him after he returned. I said, "So how was the festival? It's been a long time since you've been." And he's like, "Yeah, it's really fun. It's changed a lot." And he goes, "This one day, I was just sort of wandering around, checking out different stages, and I came across this stage where they had some amazing musicians, but there was this one musician that was just absolutely blew me away." And because we're in the business of presenting musicians, I'm always curious about who these musicians are that are blowing my brother or my sisters or whoever away. He goes, her name was Sunny War. And I'm like, oh my God, she's playing here. So he had a whole bunch. So I told him that we were going to be talking to you today, and he had a whole bunch of questions for you. Now he's a
Okay.
teacher. He's a teacher. So he always asks, did you have a teacher that was an influence on you, and who that was, and why does that exist for you? I know you moved a lot when you were growing up, so maybe you didn't have those relationships, or did you, and they were lifesavers or inspired you or whatever.
I had a teacher in Nashville named James Nixon for a little while, but I think like he was like the only guitar player that thought it was okay for me to just keep playing weird, like to just keep doing the hand style thing. And I think it's because he was like he was a blues player, but it was like he was like because I've met other guitar teachers that were like, that's not like if you're gonna finger pick, you need to use more than two fingers. You can't just do that.
Mhm.
But it's really kind of a banjo technique, so it's not like on like people do it. But then I think another person I consider a teacher is Greg Cruz, who was like a busker dude in Venice who played like Johnny Cash and Hank Williams stuff on the boardwalk. But he let me play with him on the boardwalk, and that was kind of how I started busking, was like playing with him. And then I just learned a lot of like kind of classic songs and stuff. And he would like encourage me to take solos and stuff, and I didn't really know how to do that, but he was just very like, just go for it. Like, and that was like my first time playing in front of people. So I feel like him and James Nixon were teachers.
How long were you in Los Angeles? Because you were in Venice Beach busking there. How long were you there?
I think, well, I started busking when I was like 13 after school, and then really doing it hardcore like by the time I was like 15, but I was traveling, or I was going up and down the coast a lot. And then
Okay.
when so I guess I kind of left for a while. Then I came back when I was like 21, and I was busking till I was like 24 or so. But I went to Texas though. Then I always left and came back. So I don't
Mhm.
know. I would say at least 10 years on
Wow.
and off.
So at what point were you, this is like, this is what I'm going to do for my life? Like, when did you decide music was your path?
I still haven't decided that.
You're still working on it?
Yeah. I was just like trying to get through. I don't know. I tried to go to school and I dropped out. So I'm still. It's like if I was, even if I was still busking, like I would still probably try to get like some gigs at clubs until I figure out what I'm gonna do to survive. So I'm still kind of stuck, like not sure what to do. I
Well,
like playing. I want to keep playing, but I don't know because I kind of want to go to. I want to be a chef also, so I kind of want to go to culinary school. So I would have to like decide I was gonna stop to go to like a 2-year program, like, and I guess
well, you're incredibly talented musician. So whatever you choose in life, I hope you hang on to that at some, all for your whole life.
I want to do it.
Um,
I just don't want to be stuck in it.
yeah, yeah. Well, you could be like a singing chef or something like that.
Yeah,
That would work. And
like there's a lot of people in Nashville that they're all carpenters or whatever, but they play
yeah,
at like Newport Folk Festival and stuff. And but it's like they also have a trade. It could be like I'm gonna stay home for 6 months because they could do something else, and I kind of want to try to get
yeah,
like go to school because it's like you have to just be touring all the time, which is cool. But then it's like if I don't want to be like feeling like I'm too tired to do it, and then I don't have any other thing I could do or something.
yeah. No, I hear you. My uncle was in a heavy metal band, and they would tour half the year, and then he'd go home and he worked in construction, and it was the same thing.
That's too hard.
Um,
That's too loud.
yeah, he can't hear anything now. He's a lot older now, but this was in the 80s and 90s. Um, and it was kind of a speed metal, speed metal band? Yeah, he played the drums. So yeah, I don't think he could hear
Dang,
much
that's hardcore.
anymore.
Does
But
he have nice? He has nice legs, I bet.
I don't, I've never really looked at his legs, but
Okay, because those metal drummers, because they do the double pedaling, like
yeah, he could do
their
all that.
legs are like ripped. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Well, my grandmother would go to the shows too all the time. And so she told me how much she enjoyed watching him play, but I don't think she could hear anymore after a while either. But
They
anyway, sorry, I lost track of what I was talking about. Do you ride a unicycle? I read somewhere
yeah.
you ride a unicycle. How did you learn to do that?
I found one at a yard sale for $20 when I was like 14 or something, and then it took me like 6 months to learn how to ride. I just kept practicing it. And now I have two. I have a normal one, and then I have a 6 foot tall one.
How do you get on it?
I have to climb on,
Uh-huh.
like off the wall. Like I have to climb on
Oh,
somehow, and
I
then you have
see.
to jump off of it, or you'd have to climb off of it.
Do you wear a helmet?
Sometimes.
Um,
It's like a dad question.
sorry,
Well, once you get it though, you have it. It's
you're
like a
good.
bike. It's just a different kind of bike, because it's like
Yeah.
you can't go backwards or forwards. So it's like people always fall forward. Like you have to just like
It-
it's kind of like
You have to have
core.
strong core muscles.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
can
It'd be
you
good for
can
your
you ride the
core. Talking
unicycle?
about drummers.
Can you ride the unicycle and play the guitar at the same time?
I don't want to.
Oh, you
I
don't
don't
want
want
to,
to.
okay.
I don't
Because
want to
you could
do
put
that.
that into your performance, into your show. It'd be kind of fun. Well, let us know
I'm
if
not
you.
gonna wear a helmet, but I can't put my guitar in danger.
Okay,
I can put my skull in
got
danger,
it.
but not my guitar.
Well, if you need us to provide a unicycle for your show, let us know. We'll track one down.
Okay.
What kind of guitar are you playing right now?
I'm playing my Guild 1989 Guild True American, and that's just the same guitar for like 10 years now, I guess. And I don't like any. I have other guitars, I just don't like them as much.
But that's your main one then.
Yeah.
Is that the one you record with too?
Yeah.
So what are you excited about, like as far as music? Is there anything that you're really into right now? that you might want to recommend to us?
I'm listening to old stuff. I'm listening to Kate Bush right now.
Oh, yeah.
I
80s.
He's making a
never
resurgence.
Yeah.
I never really listened to it before. And then I've been just listening to Steely Dan.
Yep. Let me ask you this, Sonny. Somebody said this question to me the other day, and I thought it was a good one. If you could put together a music festival with five artists, living or dead, who would they be?
I would put like Elliott Smith and Guar and Run the Jewels, and then Bad Brains, except 30 years ago. And then I guess who else would play? I would put Death on there. Death could be the headliner.
That's like a heck of a show.
Yeah, it'd be tight.
That's awesome. Well, really happy to have you join us. I want to do one other thing with you, Sonny, if that's all right. We like to do like a kind of a game. With our artists. It's super easy, but I call it either or. So I'm just going to give you two options, and you just pick the one you like. If I said dogs or cats, what would you say?
Dogs.
Dogs. All right. Coke or Pepsi?
Neither.
Neither. Okay, good answer. It's the safe one.
Sonny drinks Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper.
I don't like
Root
soda.
beer. Fruits or vegetables?
Vegetables.
All right. The color red or the color blue?
Red.
McDonald's or Burger King?
McDonald's.
Okay.
Because I'm a patriot.
You love America.
Yeah.
Nashville or Los Angeles?
I don't neither.
Okay, neither. We're gonna say no
They're
on
both
Chattanooga.
they're becoming the same place. I choose Chattanooga.
that.
Chattanooga's like people don't know how cool Chattanooga is.
All right, let me ask that again then. Nashville or LA or Chattanooga?
Chattanooga.
Chattanooga, okay. Jazz or blues?
I don't know. I can't answer that.
Okay, we can say pass.
Pass.
Is it like picking between your favorite children or something?
It's like there's just really good guitar players in both of those, so
Yeah.
I can't be like, I don't know. I don't like jazz, but I like a lot of jazz guitarists, and then
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know.
All
I'd
right,
rather go to a jazz festival than a blues festival, but I like a lot of I can't choose which one is better.
well, this is gonna get harder. It's country
Okay.
or rock?
Rock.
Rock, okay. Drums or bass?
What? Well, you need both of them. I don't know. They gotta be together.
Both. Okay. Elvis or the Beatles?
The
The
Beatles.
Beatles. So I read you like AC/DC and Motley Crue. So AC/DC or Motley Crue?
AC/DC.
All right.
Motley Crue they don't have an Angus Young. They don't.
No.
That's what they needed.
Yeah. Major key or minor key?
Minor key.
Minor key. Well, I didn't have Fender or Gibson was my question.
Gibson.
Gibson. Okay.
Yeah.
One wheel or two wheels?
One wheel.
What about the Simpsons or South Park?
The Simpsons, I think.
The
Yeah.
Simpsons.
All right, last one. Livermore, that's where the Bankhead Theater is, on November
Okay.
17th, which is the night you're going to be there, or anywhere else in the world on that night.
What? I guess Livermore.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Livermore?
No.
No. Have you been to you've been to the Bay Area though, right? To
Yeah.
San Francisco. Yeah, okay. So we're We're kind of in the
Just
East
east
Bay.
of San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I probably have been there then.
Yeah. Well, it's a great space, and I think you're going to sound great there. And we have a really wonderful audience, and I'm really excited that you're coming out. So thank you for doing that. Thanks for all your music and all that you do, and wish you the best of luck and everything else. But I can't wait to see you in person and have you listen to you play. So thank you for that, and we'll let you go now. But I hope you have a
All
great
right.
day.
All right, you too.
All right.
I'll see you guys at the show then.
All right, thanks.
Nice to
Thanks,
meet
Sunny.
you.
Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye. She was fun to talk to. I really enjoyed her.
Yeah, and she has a lot of interests in
Yeah.
addition to music, which was pretty cool. Some of her hobbies
It was-
I liked.
She rides the unicycle,
Hmm.
which is a strange interest. I'd love to see her on one.
I'd love to
Maybe
see
she'll
you
bring me.
on one or anybody else.
Oh God, no,
Um,
I can't ride a unicycle. I tried for years with my neighbors, but could not.
I could
So-
do stilts. I can walk on stilts. I can do a pogo stick pretty well. I don't think I can ride a unicycle.
I have a feeling if you could do stilts, I bet you could do a unicycle.
Maybe, I don't know.
I think it's got to use some of the same muscle groups and balance technique. I've never done stilts though.
Oh, well, they're kind of like long crutches with places for your feet, because you're kind of holding them close to your body. So the unicycle though, it's like you're not, the center of balance is different, I feel like. Don't you think?
What core stuff? I mean, no, I mean, I feel like, I ride my bike to work, and riding without handlebars. Remember that song by the Flowbots? I can ride
I-
my bike without handlebars.
No, I don't. Sorry.
You don't?
Mm-mm.
That might have been about the time you were having kids. My kids
Maybe.
were old enough to like be picking out their own music, and my daughter was in love with the Flowbots.
I don't even know what that
it was fun to
is.
listen to. Well,
That's like
they're
a group?
band.
Oh, it's a band.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what else I can do, Ruth, is I can juggle.
Can you?
Did you know that?
I
can
did
juggle
not.
3 balls at once, or any 3 items that you give me, I can juggle, or I can do 2 in one hand. But I can't do 4. But
Oh, this
could do
is
3.
fun. Well,
Yeah.
can we have some fun in the office with you juggling
Yeah,
items?
when I was a
I feel like you're
kid,
juggling all the time.
well, when I was a kid, I would juggle. My mom would get really mad at me because I would juggle fruit, and so I would eventually I would drop it, so the apples or whatever, everything was always bruised or jacked up. So that was how I learned how to juggle, was taking stuff out of the fruit
Was
bowl.
with fruit. Do
Yeah.
you use actual juggling balls?
No, I don't think I've ever owned any juggling balls.
Oh, my youngest juggles as well,
Yeah.
and she has a set. I think they still live at my house, but she has a set of juggling. They're actual juggling balls. They're like
Uh,
they're sort of like a hacky sack, but with the
Oh, yeah, yeah,
not.
yeah.
They're a little bit bigger than that.
You know how I got into
it's
it
fun.
was I remember in elementary school in PE we had to juggle handkerchiefs. Learn how to juggle handkerchiefs, and it was the same concept, except instead of going like this, you're doing this. So
Now I
it's
feel like I could juggle
different motion.
handkerchiefs.
Yeah, handkerchiefs are easier because they're just kind of
Yeah.
floating. But,
I'm gonna go home and try it.
you could juggle
So-
balls too. It's not that hard. You just
You have
yeah.
to have some serious hand-eye coordination though,
Not really.
and reflex. No,
No, it's
I
like
don't know.
riding
Don't
a
take the
bike.
mystery out of it for me.
It's like riding a unicycle. Once you do it once, it's hard. You can do it anytime. Muscle memory.
This is good stuff. So,
We're
so
not keeping
Sunny
any
War
of
can write it.
this.
So- Thank you for joining us for Beyond the Stage, featuring Sunny War and Lizzie No, who will be performing live with Buffalo Nichols at the Bankhead Theater on November 17th. So get your tickets now at livermorearts.org or by calling the box office at 925-373-6800. I'm Ruth Eggerman.
And I'm Chris Carter.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you at the theater.
Bye.